That is awesome, Chijioke. And you mentioned something that's quite interesting, and I would like us to just hear more about that. You mentioned that there will be no subsidies, that the state does not intend to provide any form of subsidy at the consumption level.
Yes.
Also, EERC have recently, and speaking to that, EERC have recently issued a tariff methodology, yes, which is based on a rate of return regulation, yes, also called cost of service regulation. Interestingly, this contrasts with NERC's methodology, which is a building blocks approach known as an incentive-based regulation. As you know, rate of return regulation adjusts overall pricing or overall price levels according to the operator's accounting costs and cost of capital. Is this not a concern for EERC, given the high inflation rates in the country today that is being tackled by the CBN with incremental interest rates? Now, I ask this because this situation, coupled with no state subsidies, is bound to skyrocket retail tariffs in Enugu. A recent World Bank report says that 129 million of Nigerians are trapped in poverty today. The Cable Index puts Enugu's multidimensional poverty rate at 63.1%. With all this gloomy picture, sort of, how does the state, with the regulatory commission that you chair, intend to manage this? Because 63% is quite high, inflation is high, so borrowing rate is very high, and if you're using rate of return regulation, then tariffs are bound to skyrocket.
So let me start by saying that Enugu State is not immune to the national crisis, economic crisis that Nigeria is facing right now. Truth be told, those are part of the challenges that we are facing in trying to develop a subnational electricity market. I mean, we cannot run away from the current FX rates or inflation demands as it is. However, what we can do as a state is put measures in place that, one, recovers exactly what he's supposed to be investing to set up his or her project within our state. So rather than accommodate the FX rate, we do not expect investments to come in USD or any other currency, as the case may be. We are hoping that developers that are interested in coming to play in our space invest their Naira. So even if you're a foreign investor that's coming into Nigeria and you see Enugu as a potential environment where you can actually, how do I put it now, set up your project, convert that money to Naira and come and invest in our space. We can only guarantee what we have control over. And we are already aware that we're aware of the fact that your revenue is also coming in Naira. So what I'm saying is that we cannot run away from the FX rates. And rather than have investors coming to invest dollars in our state, we would like them to change that dollars to Naira and make their investments in Naira, since their revenue is also coming in Naira. That is one component of it. Now, the state, considering the financial implications of probably supporting investors in putting in place a viable project that guarantees return on investment, we are working with two private sector financial institutions that are willing to support electricity projects within the state. One of them is the Infra Credit, that would ensure that developers that are courageous, that are willing to come and play in our space, do get a good FX rate and payback period that extends, how do I put it now, return on investment or recovery of their investment over a time that would accommodate a comfortable tariff arrangement. While the second private sector institution that we're working with is the Infrastructure Bank. And the Infrastructure Bank has magnanimously, how do I put it now, is supporting the state in, how do I put it now, working with developers to syndicate financing for their projects, financing that does not, that speaks to them getting comfortable debt components rather than just invest equity and take commercial banks or any other banking institution or financial institution taking advantage of them to increase whatever rates they are going to have to access the debt component of for their projects. You know, and these are two aspects that the private sector, InfraCredit and the Infrastructure Bank, are supporting Enugu State developers that are willing to move into the state to come and play. Now, the third aspect of it is the agency that the state government also established with the EERC, and that is the Enugu State Electrification Agency. Enugu State Electrification Agency would support private developers with funding. It's meant to manage the Enugu State Electrification Funds with funding for projects that are targeted on meeting social interventions that would directly impact on citizens of the state, you know, to take these projects off the ground. It would also undertake the the access for right-of-way for most of these projects, and could also drive the process to have land made available to potential developers, thereby managing the cost of these projects that any developer would have been expected to bear, you know, to have their projects take off the ground. That way, we feel that if any developer now signs a power purchase agreement with any of the customers in the state, that they would also be recovering 100% of the tariff that they would get, and wouldn't be, how do I put it now, pressured by FX rates, since they have invested in Naira and are recovering their revenue in Naira. I hope that speaks to some of the plans that we have put in place.
Yeah, I mean, incredible. I don't know if